Hello, welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godi Angunihu, and on sign language is Courage Ogeriahi. We begin with the headlines. President Bola Tinubu holds bilateral meeting with President Xi Jinping. Pope Francis flies to Indonesia on first leg of ambitious four-nation tour to strengthen interfaith ties. Plus, Nigeria's House of Representatives engages pension administrators over fate of retirees. On all the news in full, Nigeria is set to become the leading trading partner of the People's Republic of China in Africa, as both countries are stepping up their relations. This is part of the outcomes as President Bola Tinubu met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing. State House correspondent Musbaut Enuhab reports.
Intentions meet again in warm handshake. President Bola Tinubu, on his first state visit to China, meets a leader of one of the leading partners of Nigeria. The reception was indeed suggestive of the stature and status of Nigeria in the Committee of Nations. The leader of the giant of Africa is here. In mutual expressions, Nigeria and China are set to take their relations beyond just strategic to comprehensive strategic partnership. The new modalities were brought to the table. China, as appreciated by President Tinubu, has demonstrated how infrastructures can drive economic growth. The Nigerian leader says the same aspiration is at the core of his administration's agenda to ensure overall development and prosperity for his people.
I agree with you that China-Nigerian relations that is over half a century should further strengthen our trade and economic development program. Nigeria has a very great potential as largest population in Africa and is the biggest economy.
To give life to the intention of building a new Nigeria through infrastructural renewal, President Tinubu says his government has laid the foundation with various reforms.
You have reformed the Chinese economy, and our program too is on that course. I am a reformer. We have recognized the need to reform our economic program, and we're doing so. The strategic partnership should result in our regional development goals. Peace, stability, security in West Africa is very, very crucial.
President Xi Jinping has apparently found a new partner for the improved relations he had longed for, as he declared readiness to take the partnership to higher levels. From Beijing, Musbau Wahab, NTA News.
And China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi hosts a ministerial conference ahead of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, in Beijing, saying that his country was working towards the progress of the Global South. Comfort Fashion reports.
Reports say China The world's second largest economy is Africa's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade hitting $167.8 billion in the first half of this year. The ninth China-Africa gathering is expected to provide a framework for navigating China's evolving strategic partnership with the continent in the post-COVID era. The summit is taking place at a time of rising geopolitical tension that will see Beijing prioritize its position over other world powers.
峰会上，习近平主席将代表中国政府
China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi said currently the changes of the world are accelerating and the world has entered a new period of turbulence and transformation. He added that the collective rise of the global south, represented by China and Africa, profoundly affects the process of world history. They will work together to promote modernization and jointly build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future.
La nécessaire réforme de la gouvernance mondiale.
Senegal's Foreign Minister Yassine Fall said on the subject of the necessary reform of global governance, the continent welcomes China's early and decisive support for the African Union's membership of the G20. She noted that in this context, reform of the United Nations Security Council remains a priority to redress the historic injustice done to Africa. China has been intensifying its efforts to strengthen ties with the global south, and analysts say it views these relationships not just as economic opportunities, but as crucial to its own broader geopolitical goals. The summit will run from 4th September to 6th September. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
The 15th General Assembly of the African Union of Broadcasters has opened in Gaborone, Botswana, with delegates from Africa's 54 countries attending. With the theme, The Future of African Media Facing the Challenges of New Technologies and Climate Change, the four-day event was declared open by Botswana's acting president, Mr. Slumba Twozwane, in a brief ceremony that also had ministers and top Botswana government officials. Discussions around the theme will feature 6 panels made up of top broadcast officials, practitioners, academia, and experts in different aspects of broadcasting. During the General Assembly, new officials to occupy the 15-member Executive Council are also to be elected to run its affairs for the next 2 years. Meanwhile, the AUB Council unanimously adopted the creation of the African Artificial Intelligence Observatory, an ambitious initiative aimed at supporting the continent's media in their digital transformation. The Council, in its meeting held in Gaborone, emphasized the importance of this initiative as a step towards implementing the recommendations of the AUB Summit on Artificial Intelligence and Media, held in March 2024 in partnership with UNESCO in Cameroon. Meanwhile, a 2-day strategic meeting on the role of the media in countering misinformation and promoting peace and democratic governance in West Africa has opened in Abuja. Facilitated by the ECOWAS Commission, the workshop is being attended by media representatives from ECOWAS member states. Kelvin Ewunuaye reports.
Media experts, civil society organizations and ECOWAS officials are using the meeting to examine the negative impact of misinformation and disinformation in the spread of conflicts and other vices in the sub-region. But more importantly, ECOWAS believes that progress towards the realization of the Agenda 2050 targets cannot be achieved without a good and clear visibility of its ideas. Hence, it is seeking the support of national, regional and international media.
Rather than contributing to freedom of expression and equal access to information, social media are regrettably being used these days by some individuals to disseminate fake news with the aim of brainwashing and poisoning the minds of our people.
Our sub-region is bedeviled by an array of issues, and every other day we are hearing about terrorism here and there. And sometimes it does appear that the media is giving them the fillip. And that's why we must begin to strategize on how to combat this.
As part of the meeting, key departments of the Commission took the media representatives through major interventions in many member states, including Niger Republic, Mali, and Burkina Faso, who have since left the community.
We've gone to Togo. We went to the northern part of Togo, where we saw that our assistance has made them to be able to, get funding to cultivate more area of land, which they couldn't do as individuals, and also to access fertilizer to grow their crops.
The meeting, powered by the Media Foundation for West Africa, will climax with a workshop for heads of government-owned television and radio stations in the sub-region. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurates the first edition of Egypt's International Air Show at El Alamein Airport, where dozens of civil and military aircraft manufacturers from across the world are participating. Comfort Fashion reports that over 300 aviation and aerospace companies from more than 100 countries have participated in the three-day event. Her report.
From the left, the team is taking off, fully loaded with 10 machines with the lead of Silver One, Barakat.
The event, which is the largest in Africa and the Middle East, aims to advance industrialization, digitization and globalization within the defense, space and commercial aviation sectors across these regions.
Soloist is turning in a nice steep turn to perform roll.
The air show began with a performance by the Egyptian Air Force aerobatic team, the Silver Stars, followed by a solo display of a Rafale jet. Saudi Arabia's Eurofighter Typhoon, China's Y-20 and the UAE's Mirage 2000 also presented solo performances.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to the front, slightly lift. You can see the team approaching.
Minister of Defense Abdel Makid Sakr, Chief of Staff of the Egyptian Armed Forces Ahmed Khalifa, several ministers and senior state officials, and representatives of companies and countries participating in the event also attended the show. El-Sisi inspected the pavilions and exhibits of national and international companies participating in the event, the first of its kind in Africa and the Middle East. During his tour, President El-Sisi visited the Arab Organization for Industrialization, AOI Pavilion, where its chairman, Mukhtar Abdel Latif, provided a detailed overview of the organization's aviation-related products and activities. The expo is anticipated to result in significant agreements between Egypt and major aerospace companies, including AOI and France's Safran. El-Sisi thanked France and French company Dassault Aviation for constructive cooperation with Egypt in the aviation domain. He said he is pleased that the fleet of Rafale aircraft has become the second largest in the Egyptian Air Force. The president also inspected the Chinese pavilion, where the chairman of China National Aero Technology Import and Export Corporation briefed him about their participation in the event. The Chinese Air Force has sent China's Y-20 transport aircraft and J-10 performance aircraft to participate in the expo. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
At least 129 people were killed during a weekend prison break attempt at the largest jail in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Interior Minister said on Tuesday. The provisional human toll is 129 dead, including 24 who were shot after warnings, Minister Jacquemain Shabani said in a video message, adding that at least 59 people had been wounded at the Makala prison in the capital, Kinshasa. His ministry said several people had been crushed or suffocated and several women had been raped. Witnesses told AFP gunfire had started at the prison at around 2 a.m. on Monday and lasted for several hours. Daddy Soso, an electrician in his 40s living in the capital, reported seeing security force vehicles taking bodies away in the early hours. The authorities gave no indication as to how many inmates had escaped or attempted to do so. But at mid-morning on Monday, government spokesman Patrick Muyaya told national television the situation was under control. You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a break now. Thank you for being there. Pope Francis, 87, welcomes journalists and staff on board the papal plane as he flies to Indonesia on the first leg of an ambitious four-nation tour with interfaith ties set to dominate his visits to the world's largest Muslim country. The first stop in a 12-day voyage will also take in Papua New Guinea, East Timor and Singapore. Comfort Fashion has more.
Pope Francis arrived in Muslim-majority Indonesia on Tuesday to kick off a four-nation tour of the Asia-Pacific that will be the longest and farthest of the 87-year-old papacy. The head of the world's 1.3 billion Catholic touched down in the capital Jakarta for a 3-day visit devoted to interreligious ties and will then travel to Papua New Guinea, East Timor and Singapore. He disembarked in Jakarta in a wheelchair to an honor guard, greetings by Indonesian officials, including the religious affairs minister, and a traditional bouquet from 2 children. He had no official engagement scheduled Tuesday following the long flight from Rome, but the Vatican said he hosted a meeting with a group of orphans, migrants and homeless people at its Jakarta mission shortly after he arrived. The Pope is, however, scheduled to meet President Joko Widodo on Wednesday in the first major set piece of his visit to the world's most populous Muslim-majority country. And on Thursday, Francis will meet representatives of all sects at Istiklal Mosque, the largest in Southeast Asia and a symbol of religious coexistence. Widodo, popularly known as Jokowi, said the Pope's visit is historic. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has expressed confidence in the Nigerian government's ability to address insecurity in farming communities in the country. Amina Mohammed was speaking during a visit to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in Abuja. Musa Baba Aliyu was there.
The visit of Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, is to discuss the existing partnership between Nigeria and UN agencies in the areas of food production and poverty eradication. Her hosts, Abubakar Kyari and Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, speak on the impact of the UN intervention on the Nigerian food security strategy. This includes IFAD intervention in the food value chain, FAO, and the World Food Programme initiatives in the areas of cultivation and fighting hunger and malnutrition.
We must rise to the occasion and invest massively in agriculture, leveraging the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals SDGs 1 and 2, which you could use your global influence to explore opportunities for Nigeria to create jobs, diversify the economy and reduce food imports.
So far designed for a different era.
Amina Mohammed, visiting Sudan and Chad before coming to Nigeria, was worried about the effects of climate change and insecurity on food production in Africa. She emphasized the need for the adoption of new technology and innovation in the area of cultivation and processing, considering the impact of climate change. She says the United Nations will continue to partner with and support Nigeria, especially in the humanitarian crisis management caused by insecurity.
We're looking at those that are affected most, and food security is it, smallholder farmers that have been displaced. What we are doing from the UN is to help that planning so that we can continue to support the displacement while we're trying to solve in the same manner the security issues in the country. It's not easy, it will not happen overnight. There are many interests that have to be resolved, as you see all over the continent. But I think that the strategy that the government has in itself, if we can get behind it and support it with the resources that are needed, we should be able to manage the food security issue in time.
Amina Mohammed said the UN will announce more commitment and support for Africa at the end of the Agriculture Summit ongoing in Kigali, Rwanda. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The federal government has reiterated commitment to the sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards Enhancement SPEES project, an initiative aimed at expanding the skilled workforce and driving socio-economic development across Nigeria. This was the assurance given by Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, when he received the World Bank SPEES task team led by Ishiak Siddiq. Ambassador Aduda highlighted the establishment of a technical working group with the ministry composed of experts from various professional fields under the social standard note to ensure the successful execution of the project's objectives. As the lead agency for implementing the social standards aspects of the SPEES project, the Ministry of Women Affairs is working to expedite the launch of a certification portal which will be instrumental in reducing corruption, creating new job opportunities for the youth, as well as maintaining social standards in Nigeria in line with international best practices. Now, concerned by the hardship being faced by retirees in accessing their entitlements, the House of Representatives Committee on Pension is engaging pension administrators and other critical stakeholders to find a workable solution to the issue. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed has more.
Appearing before the committee are pension fund administrators and other relevant stakeholders with a bid to understand their role, trust and funding of the scheme for a better life of retirees.
There's supposed to be increment in pension payment to pensioners. What have you done to keep behind this policy? Or have you started implementing it? Or what are your plans towards implementing it? Since our inception, we have paid about 286,000 retirees benefits along the entire spectrum of benefit payout.
It is the accrued right that is the problem, because if you don't pay the accrued right, it makes it near impossible for you to be able to pay the person his lump sum benefit, and for him also to choose the methodology that he wants to adopt.
Chairman of the committee, Hussaini Muhammad Jallo, assured Nigerians that the National Assembly will reshape the scheme to restore the confidence of retirees in the pension policy.
By the time this committee finishes its work and submits a report, I have no doubt in my mind the pension industry in Nigeria will be better, will be more better than we met it before. And that will lead us into the amendment of the Pension Reform Act 2014. That has been in place, 2014, that has been in place for over 10 years. This committee has already started the process of amendment of the Act. And this engagement we are doing with the PFS and PFs will give us an in-depth knowledge about the operations of the PFS and PFCs that will guide us into the amendment of the 2014 Act.
The public hearing continues with other stakeholders. From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
For 25 years, the National Hospital in Abuja has been on a mission. Over the past quarter of a century, the hospital has provided exceptional healthcare to millions of Nigerians, from life-saving treatments to groundbreaking medical practices, while pushing the boundaries of medical innovation. To mark this milestone, Chief Medical Director Professor Muhammad Raji shared with newsmen how the hospital has played this vital role in advancing healthcare across the country. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
In a quiet ward at the National Hospital Abuja, Rose Oge sits on her hospital bed, her battle with lung cancer written in her every breath. The usual bustle of patients here at the hospital is absent, a stark reminder of the ongoing resident doctor strike. Yet, here Rose remains cared for and comforted. For patients like Rose, the National Hospital is not just a building or a place of getting the care she needs at times like this. The National Hospital becomes a rare refuge, possibly the only safe place when healthcare across the country is at a standstill. Established in 1999 with a focus on women and children, the National Hospital has since evolved into a center of care for all, regardless of age or gender.
It has served as a training ground for a number of our experts in the medical field. The first institution to to have a LINAC machine in the whole of West African sub-region. As at today, we are about the lowest cost in terms of IVF. We also boast of the first trauma center in the sub-region.
From its advanced technology to the countless healthcare professionals trained within its walls, it has become a pillar of hope and healing for many requiring complex medical procedures. For Rose and many others, this hospital is more than just a facility. It's a beacon of light in dark times.
Then they treat me well, then they take care of me.
But even a beacon faces its challenges. With just 400 beds and a committed staff of more than 2,000, the hospital is stretched thin by limited resources and an ever-growing patient load.
Major challenges facing the hospital is paucity of funds to carry out its routine activities and to complete ongoing projects. Cost of diesel and cost of electricity, it really takes a big chunk of what we are able to generate.
Professor Raji believes that easing this burden will require more than just internal solutions. He is calling for public-private partnerships to step in, especially to support the care of indigent persons who need it most. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Next is Wednesday's weather prospect. That's it on the news. On behalf of Courage Ogeria, he who's been on sign language, this is Nancy Godiangunihu, thanking you for watching.